How are you doing, beautiful bridges? I think this must be the most wonderful bridge there is, the bridge of consciousness. Sometimes we just enjoy having felt that of calling this humano puente, because not only do we appreciate it, we also enjoy it. And when we start to feel and thank the fact that it is called humano puente, and that we are bridges of consciousness, I feel many times that there is always more to share about that state of assuming oneself as a bridge. And today, as you can see, I am with a hat. It is cool here. I am on the coast. It is fine, but a little cool. I have the honor in my experience, in my universe, of being many times near the sea with my son. Today we were standing next to the sea, and while I was watching him, I knew that I am the creator of him, not only as a father, but as a being, just as I am the creator of the waves, the creator of my waves, the creator of my dunes, the creator of my sand, the creator of my universe. I am the creator of everything that exists in my reality and the creator of my son. But from a more grounded level of consciousness, that is already within the belief of distortion. But even in a plane of consciousness more profound than usual, I felt this, that I am the consciousness expressing itself. And in that part of the consciousness that I express to myself, my son is a continuity of mine. And I am going to leave a biological lesson beyond the lessons and what one can pass on as a conscious legacy to a child. I am talking from the illusion of separation to be didactic, beyond what one can consciously pass on to a child. There are things that happen at the unconscious level, biological, individual, family and collective unconscious, which are the most important lessons of the continuity of the human experience. The biological unconscious. When I stop being biologically in the way I am now, what humanity calls alive, even though everything is alive, there would be a biological unconscious conclusion at that moment that would be the one that will suggest the following steps. If I die at 50 years old, I already passed that age. But if I die at 50 years old, the biological unconscious will draw a series of conclusions and will say to my continuity, to my son, to my children, look, he died at 50 years old, he was too young to die, so you should not do this, do not go this way, do not do this other thing, because all that package was in what he did at the moment he died. On the other hand, if I live 80 or 90 years, that unconscious mandate that is going to remain will say to my biological continuity, look, he lived 80 or 90 years, do what he did. I do not mean that you dedicate yourself to writing books or spreading consciousness. No, no. In the important biological parameters such as the territory, such as the family, such as the relationship with the children, with abundance, with the shelter, with the food and those things, try to go on similar paths in the feelings, in the paths of life. That mandate is going to suggest you to go on similar paths. And in that way it is going to try to make you go for the possibility of your life lasting 80 or 90 years, because he was a biological success. It does not matter how he went through it, but he lived 80 or 90 years. Biologically, it is a success. It means that given that basically every human being aspires to live 80, 90, 100 years, if from consciousness he assumes that he is going to be a biological counselor so that the biological continuity, call that descent, repeats it, walks through his paths, through the unconscious steps that he has left. What each person is doing every day is to write those paths. And those biological paths of repetition will not have happiness among its priority premises. That will come as a second or third order after the mandate to live a lot. Therefore, it is not only about living a lot, but that for the love of that offspring one has to try to live a lot in the greatest fullness and happiness possible. Because if one lives a lot, what has happened to one would be advice for that offspring to walk through those paths. If you lived 80 or 90 years, that biological advice will remain with the mandate of repetition for your descent. But if you lived them with unhappiness, with concern, with judgment, and with anger and blaming the other, and with a permanent scarcity, and with a permanent fury, and with a permanent sadness, that will come very likely, because it is not 100% sure. Here it is talked about the biological trends that are mostly like this. It would very likely compare within the biological package that would be advised to your son. That is to say, be bitter, because that is how it is within the pack of the 80 or 90 years. It is from consciousness that the descent tells the unconscious what he wants for himself and what he does not want for himself. The biological mandate is a priority. The mandate of happiness accompanies the mandate of biological survival. Therefore, in each act that one is wishing to have a long biological experience, it is just as important to see by what emotional package that inheritance is accompanied. Because the biological unconscious recommends the repetition of everything in order to achieve that biological goal. So one realizes here the importance and the generosity of happiness today at this moment, and the false belief that by being in a bad situation myself, I am showing solidarity with others, feeling bad to be solidary with the other, sharing the bad things that happen in life, sharing the bad point of view of what happens in life. I know that sometimes it is at a pathological level, and I understand it. Despite that, it is a huge act of selfishness and an act of those things that one would not like to leave to their children as an inheritance. But what is beyond that is that it does not matter if you have children or not, because your inheritance is inevitable. Your inheritance is inscribed in the collective unconscious and in the family unconscious. You are a data point of the human experiment, of the human evolution. Your life always leaves a lesson. Your lesson is always shared. Your life is a contribution to the continuity of the collective unconscious and of humanity and the project known as humanity, of the evolutionary development called humanity as a contribution of happiness or not. Then I simply invite you in today's video to start being happy from now on, to take that step that deep down you know that you have to take, and that you never take it, and that you beat around the bush, and that your health, your happiness, your economy, your abundance, your smile, your peace warn you that there is something that is not going where it has to go, and yet you are still there. That step of courage, that leap to the whole, to the infinite possibilities that people confuse with a leap to the void, is the great leap that the human being makes, and that leaves the great lesson to humanity. I congratulate and honor the humano-pointed consultants that have made that leap and have been bridges of consciousness and have made that contribution, and they do it every day in humanity. I send you a hug. See you soon.